Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Lynx Sports on the campus of Lindenwood-Belleville. I'm Sports Information Director Charlie Mager, and throughout the 2018-19 season, Lindenwood fans have had the privilege of watching the women's basketball team, who are now tied for 4th in the American Midwest Conference with 4 games to go. Today I am joined by head coach Jeff Reis of the women's team and junior guard Brianna Mueller, who has been the emotional leader on and off the court this season. Thanks for joining me today, guys.
Thanks for having us.
So, Brianna, I'll start with you. You came here a couple of years ago, and as a freshman, you had some veteran leadership. I know Tori Corman, one of your good friends and teammates, she was there and a senior last year who graduated. Can you talk about the impact that her, Coach Reis, any of your assistant coaches may have had on you these last few years with how it means and what it means to be a student athlete as well as excelling in the classroom?
So obviously, as a freshman coming into college, you're not exactly sure what to expect. You're not sure exactly how hard it's going to be, what the expectations are going to be. So it's definitely something you have to adjust to. And I think Tori was a big part and a great veteran in the sense of helping me and my fellow underclassmen make that transition from high school to college. She was a great example of coming to practice and working hard every single day and trying to get better and doing everything right on the court as well as in the classroom. She was just as good a student as she was an athlete, and I really modeled after that. I really looked up to her for that. And she was also available anytime we had a question or needed to run through plays that we weren't really sure. She just made sure that we knew she was always there and was always there to help us. So yeah, she was a big part of my freshman year.
And you've been here now, this is your 3rd season with the Lady Lynx, so you've had, your fair share of, highs and lows as every student athlete would face. How do you handle adversity, and how do you try to relay that to your teammates to manage it the same way?
So, well, if you look at our record this year, it's not as good as it has been the past 2 years. So I feel like we faced a lot more adversity this season than last season. I feel like I've faced a lot more adversity and having to transition into a different role this year than what I have played the past 2 years. I just think it's coming to practice every day and just trying to get better, taking all the losses that we had and just growing from them, and not letting it get you down and giving up, and trying to be that leader in practice every single day to show my other teammates that every day we're just trying to progress and get better and not just give up on the season. And I think that's really showed in our last few games how much we've grown throughout the season. We've gotten some big wins the last couple games, and I think a couple months ago we maybe wouldn't have gotten those, but since we've come to practice every single day and worked our butts off, I think that's really translated into the way that we've been playing these past few weeks.
Coach Reis, when you guys do begin your first practices, get-togethers, even into the first games, what is it that you want to establish into your players the most to get the idea that they're not just playing for themselves, but they're playing for their university?
The one thing that we try to do is we try to set expectations for what we expect out of our players, both on the court and off the court. We expect that every day they know they got to go to class, they know they got to be on time. Everything we do, we kind of have rules that they're expected to meet, and they understand them and they follow them. And that's, I don't ever have to worry about our players making, poor decisions off the court, because they know what the expectations of our basketball program are.
Talk about the impression and the impact that Brianna has had on the program for the last few years or so.
The last 2 years, we've really turned our program, going into like being a national contender, and she's had a lot to do with that, with her ability to score the basketball, and it goes deeper than that, is the fact that she shows up to practice every day, and she's our hardest worker. When your best player is your hardest worker, it makes the other people work hard, because that's kind of the expectation. If B's doing it, then I got to do it, because she's the one that leads us in scoring, she's the one that leads us in minutes, and she's still able to show up every day and work hard. And I think we have high expectations for B, and I think she knows that, but I think she's also met those expectations and probably exceeded them in her 3 years here so far.
On January 3rd, against the Hannibal LaGrange Trojans, Brianna became the all-time leading scorer in program history when she recorded her 1,228th career point, surpassing Tori Corman, who she had just mentioned, who graduated last year. and she now stands with 1,489 career points. First off, Bree, going into that game, were you aware of how close you were to approaching that?
No. I had no idea going into the game. It was not even a thought that crossed my mind. I had no idea, and I didn't really catch on until we were up by 25 or 30 points, and people kept like throwing me the ball or passing me the ball when they were wide open and they could have shot or they could have taken the layup or whatever. And I was like, why are they doing this? Like, I didn't understand. And then Coach Reis called the timeout, and he looks at me and he's like, for the next 2 minutes, I need you to shoot the basketball. And I was like, okay. And then it kind of clicked, and I was like, I must be close to breaking some sort of record here. So I did what he told me to do, and yeah. So no, I was clueless going into the game. I had no idea.
Well, and talk about how special it was. You got to do it in Lynx Arena in front of the Lindenwood fans, right towards the end of the game with all your teammates cheering you on. That had to have been something special.
That was awesome. That's something I will take with me forever and definitely remember forever. And being able to have my family there too was really cool, and all the fans from Lindenwood. I'm glad it happened at Lynx Arena.
Good. And Coach Reis, looking ahead, you guys have 4 more games to play before the conference tournament starts at the end of February. And you guys need 1 more win to clinch a berth. Having said that, if you guys were to make it, do you guys approach practice in a more intense manner? Do you intensify the practices more, getting ready for playoff games, or do you go about it like it's a regular game day?
I'm a big believer in you do everything the same every day. You know, we don't ever change our routine very much unless it's impacted by class schedules and, you know, people are running late. We try to keep everything the same. We stay the same so much that we don't change our practice time. You know, we want it to be the same. We go at 3 o'clock every day, and, you know, on Fridays they give us the choice to move up because we don't have class anymore, and we just choose to stay at 3 because that's what we do every day. And we take the same approach every single day to practice, and, you know, we're going to do the same things. We're going to be us. And that's kind of what we do every day is we try to be who we are.
And so, Bree, going into these last 4 games or so and being able to reflect a little bit on the season that you've had, talk about your experience this season as a whole, being a junior, and how you grew as a student athlete.
So like I mentioned before, if you look at just our record, you'd say, oh, their team's not as good. They haven't had as good of a season as they have the past 2 seasons where we've had 20-plus wins. But I would almost disagree with that. Yes, we don't have as many wins, but if you look at our roster, we graduated a bunch of seniors, transferred some people out, and so we have a whole new team this year. And I can honestly say that it's been my favorite team to be a part of. We're all on the same page. We all come to practice every day with a good attitude, ready to work, ready to make each other better. And I think we have grown leaps and bounds since September when we started practicing to now. And so I'm just hoping that everyone sticks around for next year and we can use this as our growing year. And then next year when we come back, we can be one of the top teams again. So.
Well, Coach Reis, Brianna Mueller, thank you guys very much for participating today and being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was head women's basketball coach Jeff Reis along with junior guard Brianna Mueller. They will travel to Hannibal, Missouri to take on the Trojans of Hannibal LaGrange, ironically the team that she achieved her feat against. And they will complete those 4 games and then begin the conference tournament towards the end of February, and we wish them all the best of luck. Here on the campus of Lindenwood University, and for the Sports Information Department and Communications Department, I'm Sports Information Director Charlie Mager. Thank you for joining us.